It's strange when you think about it. We landed on the moon over 5 decades ago. In 1969, humanity broke the bonds of Earth and touched the stars. It was a triumph of technology, courage, and sheer ambition. The Apollo missions captured the world's imagination, a symbol of what was possible when science and willpower joined forces. And yet, we never went back. Not once. Not a single human has set foot on the lunar surface since December 14, 1972, for over 50 years. The moon, our closest celestial neighbor, has remained untouched by human presence. But why? That single question has haunted scientists, dreamers, and skeptics alike. Why would we, after achieving what was once thought impossible, simply stop? Why would a species capable of interplanetary travel ground itself for half a century? NASA has always offered a simple answer: money. The Apollo program was extraordinarily expensive. At its peak, it consumed nearly 4% of the entire U.S. federal budget. It's hard to justify, especially during a time when the country was being torn apart by war in Vietnam, civil rights struggles, and economic challenges. Once the flag was planted and the Soviets were beaten in the space race, public interest plummeted. The excitement wore off. Moon landings became routine. The front pages no longer buzzed with stories of brave astronauts in distant worlds. And without public enthusiasm, political support vanished. Congress began slashing NASA's budget. The final 3 planned Apollo missions were quietly canceled. But that explanation, while partially true, leaves a bitter aftertaste. Because humans don't just give up on frontiers. We don't discover new worlds only to lock the door behind us. We went to the moon with 1960s technology, fragile rockets, primitive computers, and analog instruments. By today's standards, it's a miracle those missions even succeeded. The guidance computer on board Apollo 11, it had less processing power than the calculator on your smartphone, and yet we made it. So, if we could do it then, why not now? When our technology is light years ahead, some point to the risks. Behind the glory of Apollo lay very real danger. Each mission was a roll of the dice. Apollo 11 almost ran out of fuel before landing. Apollo 13 became a desperate fight for survival after an oxygen tank exploded. NASA may have realized that every moon mission was not just an exploration, it was a potential catastrophe. One wrong move, one system failure, one explosion broadcast live on television, and the entire space program could be undone. So, perhaps the decision was as much about fear as it was about funding. But not everyone buys that, because hidden beneath the surface of this story lies a web of mystery, secrecy, and speculation. The kind that keeps conspiracy forums alive and YouTube rabbit holes endlessly deep. There are those who believe NASA never stopped going to the moon because of money or safety concerns, but because of what they found there. Strange lights, unexplained radio transmissions, sudden communication blackouts. There are claims denied by NASA that Apollo astronauts reported seeing structures on the moon, not natural rock formations, but geometric, artificial-looking anomalies. There are even transcripts, allegedly leaked, where astronauts describe being watched. The most infamous, an uncensored broadcast cut mid-transmission with the alleged words, "They're watching us. They're on the crater edge." Is it real? Hoax? Misinterpretation? NASA says it's nonsense. But the footage, the audio glitches, the eerie silences, they continue to fuel speculation. Some believe we were warned the moon isn't empty, that we were never meant to go there, certainly not to stay. And here's the strangest part. In all the years since, no other country has sent astronauts to the moon either. Not Russia, not China, not Europe. We've sent rovers, probes, satellites, but not a single human being. It's as if humanity collectively decided the moon was off limits. Was it really just a political pause? Or something far deeper? Fast forward to today. The world has changed. Now it's not just nations racing to the stars, it's billionaires. Elon Musk's SpaceX, Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin, China's national space program, India's ISRO. The new space race is about technology, economics, power, and perhaps something else. NASA has announced its Artemis program, designed to return humans to the moon by the mid-2020s. They say this time we're going back to stay, to build a base, to mine resources, to use the moon as a springboard to Mars. But again, why now? Why, after 50 years of absence, is everyone suddenly obsessed with the moon? Some say it's because we've rediscovered its value. The frozen water trapped in its poles, the potential for solar energy, the rare minerals beneath its crust. The moon could serve as humanity's first real colony beyond Earth. Others say we're being allowed back, that whatever was watching isn't watching anymore. Of course, there's no proof, only questions. But one thing is certain, the moon is not just a rock, it's a mirror. It's a mirror that reflects our hopes, our fears, and our place in the cosmos. We stopped going, yes, but the mystery never stopped growing. And now that we're preparing to return, the stakes are higher than ever. Will we find what we left behind? Will we discover something new or something ancient? Perhaps the most terrifying thought of all is not that we were warned to leave, but that we were ignored entirely, that out there in the vast silence beyond Earth, we are truly alone, and no one is watching. Or maybe they always have been. As we gear up for humanity's next giant leap, one question still lingers in the shadows of history. Did we stop going to the moon, or were we told to? The rockets are fueling again. The countdown is beginning. And this time, we may go further than ever before. But before we step forward, we must first look back and ask, what did we really see when we first touched the moon? And why did we never go back?